Happy holidays. Welcome into a very Merry Christmas special from the Scene Projects featuring Jasmine Cain. Merry fucking Christmas.
Well, welcome into a very exciting episode of The Scene. I am your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is rock goddess, songwriter, and South Dakota girl, Jasmine Cain.
Hey, what's up?
I know you live in Nashville now, but South Dakota is always going to claim you, hon.
Honestly, it's just that's always going to be my home. I'll probably end up there again someday.
Well, before we get into everything that you've been doing, why don't you give our listeners a brief overview of what has been the last 25 years of your career, and then we'll jump into what you're doing now.
Yeah, well, 25 years I'd still been in South Dakota, but I was doing at that time, I think I had 4 bands running simultaneously, and I was doing all the bookings and management for all 4 of them. One was a 6-piece country band where I was just a bass player and sang a little bit. Like we kind of traded off lead vocals. One of them was a 4-piece rock band, which I fronted and played bass. One of those was a blues band that we traded vocals on. I played bass, and then one was with Sequoia Crosswhite.
I love Sequoia.
Me too. I love him so much. It was so fun and creative. That was the one that I really was always really excited about, but I had no idea. I was so out of my comfort zone. It was called Esmeralda, and it was like a funk hip hop reggae project where he's like freestyle rapping, and like sometimes he's blowing a pan flute, sometimes he's scratching a record, sometimes he's, and he plays guitar and everything. It was just like such a fun, funky thing. And that was the most creative project that I really had.
I want to stop you right there briefly because this group came up when I saw Sequoia over the Deadwood Jam. Vince Converse was in town. Vince was back. He headlined one of the nights, or co-headlined one of the nights, and then they went over to Deadwood Tobacco Company and jammed all night. And to see Vince and his band out of there, it just brought back all the memories. That was my first concert at the 10. I was maybe 12 years old, and my dad had, greased some palms or whatever he had to do to get me in. And this is when the stage was still up. Well, the stage was still up front, not in the back like it is now, right? It was right up front there, and watching Vince. Vince still had hair back then, right? Down to his ass. And it was great. But yeah, Sequoia was up for the jam and just kind of checking it all out. And we were just talking about all the old bands and the things that we've all done,
I've often thought about bringing Sequoia to Nashville to do a song with me, like just to do one, because it was just so, he was kind of ahead of the game, really, when we were doing this. He was kind of ahead of the game. So and now it's like popular, to feature someone who freestyles or raps on your project. And I was like, man, if I invited anyone, I would invite Sequoia, because he's just so unique,
Yeah. So after having all the bands and doing all the things, I know you were still a young lady when you made the move down to Nashville.
I was very young. I was super young. I decided that it was time to pursue this, because if I was gonna make it at all, I had to try it you have to try when you're young. And at that point, I honestly was already kind of too old to pursue it. Even at 23 years old, it was just kind of too late for me to start getting my toes in the water. But I moved to Nashville in 2003 and started making connections and meeting people. I went to writing sessions, I went to open mics, I went to all the things. I met all the players. I started get familiar with who was in town, and who was the people to know, the who's who, and I learned a couple of things, because number one, I learned that the biggest misconception of Nashville is that you're going to go to Nashville and you're going to get on Broadway and you're going to be playing all these bars on Broadway, and then some major artist is going to come in during the CMAs or something like that, see you playing or see you singing, and say, oh my gosh, that's the next star. We need to grab her or them or whatever and get them a record deal, and everybody comes to Nashville thinking that's what the way it is. It's the biggest farce, I think, of Nashville, because they just do that because that gives everybody a dream and a hope, and then they go downtown and they play for tips. They do not get paid except for a small base pay. And your shows are 4 hours long, and you don't get any breaks. There's 0 breaks unless you can have somebody else grab your instrument and play a song while you run to the bathroom. They won't even give you bottled water downtown. Like you have to bring your own or buy it from the bar. Like it's pretty crazy. So in Nashville, if you're ever downtown Nashville on Broadway and you're hopping through the bars, the singer or someone will always grab a bucket and start running it through the crowd, just asking for tips for the band. And it's really annoying. It's invasive. And it's like, it's in your face all the time. A lot of people get really put off by it. But the truth is that's the only way that they make any money. So next time you're in Nashville, if somebody's doing that, just, drop them something.
As someone who, busked for 3 years for a living, right? When I had to feed myself, throw the guitar case down and do it. I was down on Venice Beach, but I've been everywhere, and I didn't need necessarily a big crowd. I knew that my talent was enough that if I needed just $20 to feed myself today or for a cab ride or whatever, and that's a vivid memory. I was in Los Angeles and I had gone down to visit, and I had already bought all my tickets, like buses and trains and planes. I did it all. I bought all those tickets ahead of time. But what I didn't get was, like, I was on Venice Beach and I had to get to Union Station. I had to get downtown LA to catch the bus to the train to the bus. And I didn't have any money. So I literally just went to this busy bar. I sat out in the parking lot. I opened my case. I wailed like 2 songs. Guy was like, "Hey man, that was great." Tossed me a 20. I called an Uber and that was it. I wasn't trying to sit there, and I was playing for a purpose, right? And just trying to get from point A to point B. I feel for the people that go down to Nashville and play Broadway. I've met a few of them. Most notoriously, I guess I met Alexandra Kay, who obviously is touring with Jelly Roll and everything now, but she played in Sioux Falls, not this summer, but last summer, for like 300 people, right? And we were right up front row. My wife walked down the aisle to her song. We got to meet her. We got to, to give her a big hug and share our story with her. She brought us, our sign up on stage and made a big deal about us. Oh, she was great. She was great. And it changed my life. It changed the way that I think about music, the meet and greets. And it was like connecting. That's what it's about right there. And then she still put on a kick-ass show, right? But it was the connection with the people, and you saw her fans, and then to see Jelly Roll kind of grab her and take her out and play in all the arenas this year has just been a total treat.
These are rarity, though. Let me just tell you, Jelly Roll is a rarity, because most artists that get to that level, they don't just get to pick anybody. Like, their record label tells them who they're gonna pick, and Jelly Roll just doesn't really follow the rules, which is awesome. So he picks people that he feels are deserving, which I think should have always been the case. But record labels do favors for other record labels. And it's like,
right,
hey, we have an up and coming. We want to send them out on the road with your major artist. And if you do that for us, then when our major artist comes out, we'll send out one of your up and coming.
A lot of quid pro quo amongst the heavy hitters, right?
Oh, well, you didn't hear it from me, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's all out there. I think the Nashville game is pretty well known at this point, and I actually deal with quite a few people that are working in Nashville all the time now. I'm a member of the Midwest Country Music Organization, and we kind of span from the Great Lakes region all the way out to the Rocky Mountains, and we're 300 members strong, and several of them, people live in Nashville during the winter, and then they kind of come back to Iowa and play the summer gigs and make the money, but they own a home in Nashville. And then others, my friend Tyler Herwig, he's signed development deal, and he works in Nashville 3 days a week, but lives in Minneapolis. So he's flying down Sunday night, landing at his apartment that he has, and it's crazy. It's a wild deal, but it's all writers' rooms and things. He's not really playing out or doing any of that. He's just writing and trying to come up with new material and recording and doing all the social media stuff that I'm sure is required of him. So yeah, Nashville's a different game. And for people like us, like I'm sure your band gets paid very well to come here and play in South Dakota. My band gets paid very well. I don't make that kind of money anywhere else, right? I don't have a name anywhere else, and there's no pool of money to grab anywhere else, really, as far as
I got lucky because I found a niche. So if you really do the work and kind of figure out like where you belong in that niche, like I came to Nashville thinking I was gonna be a country singer. I thought I was going to come down here and be like the next, like the heavier Gretchen Wilson. That was my goal, for real. And I met up with like her producer that broke her, into the scene. He also discovered, Montgomery Gentry, which was also massive, and then Big and Rich, which was also massive. So I met with him, and I came like recommended by a really high end studio cat that I used on the record, and he was like, "Yo, she needs a break." He's like, "Okay, I'm totally interested." And then but he's like, as everything is in Nashville, it was a money game. And he's like, "Well, what do you have to invest in this?" I'm like, "Boy, woo."
I got these 2 nickels that I've been rubbing together trying to make a dime.
Come on, genies. But I like, there's the thing is, he's like, "I like your songs. I like your style. I think you definitely would be the next big thing of Nashville, but the money is where it's at." And it was like, sadly, I had to, give up my dream of doing country music because I didn't have the money.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah, you got a great look. You got a great sound. You got an awesome story. We just need 100K and we can break you.
Oh God, that would have been easy. But no, I'm talking way more money than that.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And I went off to go record my own album on like my own dime, and it still cost me 30K just on my dime, But the thing is that, and there's ways to do it cheaper, but not at the level, the quality that they need, And I know that people think, well, that's just kind of like all fluke and whatever. Like it's the production isn't that necessary, but it really is. When you put your album up against something that's on the radio right now, if the sound quality isn't near what that is, they're not going to listen to it. Yeah, it might be a great song immediately. They're not going to do that. So, you better count on sinking a pretty good chunk of change into your album, unless you learn how to do it yourself, which would be awesome. And that's why we started that studio downstairs, because we are working on that ourselves. But, where I've found the best place to really get money or like to is crowdsourcing. So, crowdsourcing is actually quite impressive. And I've realized like over the years, like, rather than fight it and try to be too proud about like, no, this is my dream. This is my choice. I decided to do this. I'm just going to bite the bullet and eat it myself and just struggle and, fight my way through it. Let the people help. They want to help. Like they really do want to help you. And you just have to let them, And so I was so stubborn about that for so long. Cause I'm like, I'm never going to make anybody else have to pay or suffer from what I've decided to do. But they really want to, they want to help. And once I figured that out, then things got a lot easier for me.
I think that's the reason that shows like AGT and The Voice and American Idol, like there's the reason that they're popular. People want to be a part of something. People want to feel like they're contributing to something greater than themselves. And especially this day and age where communities are just so far and few between that means something to people, right? That, that this is a small way that they can do it. And that's a big part of what we're trying to do with the Scene projects and this podcast. And the future of what we're trying to do is incorporating the community around the artist as much as possible. Because me, I mean, we've been friends for decades now, right? Yeah. So I've always had artists, right? That's my community, is all these artists. So when I kind of tackled starting to podcast, it was like, well, this is easy. Once I had the equipment, and this little Zoom P4, this little unit here totally changed my life. I mean,
no kidding.
The little battery powered 4 XLRs on the back, but it's got a headphone jack I can plug my phone into, so I can record audio episodes from anywhere with anyone. Yep. And then it was the work, right? Then it was like, I'm just going to do this, right? Nobody else is doing it for us. What I say now, Kelly, Jazz, that is, I want to be the person who introduces you to the band that your wife walks down the aisle to, right? Because that was my experience with AK and with my wife, and just like that love. It's like, I want to put that on repeat because I know what it meant to me, and I want to make that situation possible for not just like me as a band, right? I could have that experience, but I would rather give that to everyone that I know. And I finally have a vessel to do that. And it's been the light of my life these last 6-8 months of doing this, and no weekend better than the one we just had in Minneapolis, where we recorded our songwriter showcase where we have them on stage. I get to interview them a little bit. They share 3 songs. It comes out to about a 24-minute episode, and we're able to package that up and send it off. Well, this week I did 8 of them back to back to back to back to back. We recorded everything with broadcast level footage, right? We recorded everything on video, and now I got this really awesome product to turn around and to sell to the world, right? To go out there and find the support out there, and then to start rolling these episodes out and doing exactly what we did this weekend in as many markets for as many songwriters as we can. And I will never run out of work.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, and the thing that I'm getting a lot of right now is people really love, they, like you said, it's the personalization of a song and the song written specifically for them or for someone they love. I've been doing a lot of that here lately. Like people just message me and say, hey, I want to write a song for, you know, my daughter, she's getting married and I just want to like have a song for our first dance that just kind of gets her attention and is like, oh my gosh, you know,
that's our
like,
story.
It's our story.
It's
and
beautiful.
So I've been doing that here quite a lot. And I've kind of set up like when you join like my street team, it runs you through like kind of a series of, I ask them questions. I want to know about my fans. I want to know what they listen to, what they're into. And then when they tell me their favorite songs, I'm going to go and add that to like our fans playlists. You know, like I'm going to do a Spotify playlist that's like, yo, everybody that follows me, this is their favorite song right now. Go check it out. So, you know, you've got things in common, you know, because we're a common denominator. So check it out. And then from then on, it runs you through a series of like questions. That's just like, hey, have you ever thought about doing something like this? You know, is this something you're interested in? And most people, you'd be surprised, are like, oh my God, I used to write lyrics, but like, I don't know how to put it to music, or I don't play an instrument, or, you know, I don't know how to do that and, you know, or record it. And I'm like, well, let me be your vessel, you know, I can help you do that. So
that's awesome. What a cool little niche that you've fallen into. Because I will say with you, you've always had a community around. You've always been really good at, you know, the email list and the marketing of yourself, and then bringing those people around you. I mean,
do you remember my clipboard at the merch booth where you could sign my newsletter? Oh man.
Yeah.
Good old days.
Yeah. Well, and now, you know, thank goodness technology is where it is, where we can QR code everything and it's all right on the phone, and there's a lot less manual entry to stuff.
You are the king of the QR codes.
Yeah. Well, it's just too easy. You know, I'm big on economy of words and economy of space, right? Why am I going to put all my information on a card that you're not going to read anyway? Here's our name. Here's our QR code. Go to town, you know, and now finding a delivery for that on the water bottles this summer was incredible. I mean, that was cool. That was something else.
I made QR code pasties for all the bartenders at the. Yeah.
You live in a different world than I do. That's for sure.
You know, people want to take pictures anyway. They might as well scan.
Yeah, that's genius. Oh my goodness. I've always appreciated your marketing and your gumption. I mean, you just get out and do it. Talk about the 12 days of Christmas. I know you guys just kind of got done with your 12 days of acoustic Christmas. Let's talk about that a little bit. Well,
it was a little bit shorter this year because we bit off a lot more than I think we could chew. We started our 12 days of acoustic Christmas with the whole band coming with us, and we were in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and we shot a music video in the old War Memorial Auditorium or arena there that's now called the First Summit. But it's the original place that Slapshot, the cult hockey classic was filmed right there in that War Memorial Arena. And so we were like, dudes, what if we have a song called Victory? And it's, you know, basically being used in all these hockey games. Nashville Predators use it for a fight song. A lot of minor league hockey teams use it. Ohio State University is using it for everything. And like Pittsburgh Steelers are using it right now. It's been pitched to like ESPN and ABC Sports. And so we've been just really trying to market this song Victory, and we haven't done a music video for it yet. And initially we thought we were going to do it with the Preds, you know, right here in Nashville and just like keep it all about Nashville. But I'm like, you know what if we went back to Johnstown and we filmed this music video where Slapshot was filmed? Because anybody that's a hockey fan knows about Slapshot.
Yeah, it's a cult classic in the hockey world.
Totally. So they were nice enough to let us use the arena, and the Johnstown Tomahawks, which is like their basically scholarship team. They're the team that gets scholarships to go on to be farm teams for the NHL. So all the team was like, hey man, we'd be happy to be in on this video. So we got the whole team involved. Like they're all like willing to skate and be part of the video, which was awesome. And then they let me sing the national anthem, which I don't know if for anybody that hasn't watched Slapshot, there's this scene where one of the Hanson brothers in the movie yells at the ref during the national anthem. So I wanted to have that scene in the movie. And so I got to sing the national anthem at the game on Friday, just so I could put that in the movie as well. But it was great. We actually got to meet that same Hanson brother, Steve Carlson, while we were in Johnstown. He's glorious. He's the sweetest dude. He's from Minnesota, in case you didn't know. But yeah, he was super cool. So we took off like this big undertaking to do a music video. And then that was day 1 of 12 days of Acoustic Christmas. Then the whole band flew home and I did a huge show. My first show was at a giant Irish Catholic church, which they have now turned into a theater project. And we just did this whole church takeover and we decorated how we want. VIP is like way up in the balcony where the singers would be, where the pipe organ was.
I bet the sound has gotta be incredible.
It's pretty awesome. I gotta admit, it sounds incredible. And last year when we did it there, everybody was like, they just wanted to party in a Catholic church. Like they were all just like, yeah, give me a beer, like give me some wine, let's just party in the church. But this year was much, much different. Like it was much more of a listening crowd and they just wanted to vibe on the sound and it was like really intense.
Well, it wouldn't be Christmas without music. And we had Jasmine Cain send us one of her originals to play for you. This is The Fairy Tale of New York. Merry Christmas.
'Twas Christmas morning in the drunk tank, and old Manny said to me, I won't see another one. And then he sang a song, the rare old Mountain Dew. I turned my eyes away and I thought about you. God, I'm a lucky one. Came in 18-1. I've got a feeling this year is for me and you. So happy Christmas. I love you, baby. When all of our dreams come true. They got cars big as bars, they got rivers of gold, but the wind blows right through you, it's no place for the old. When I first took your hand on a cold winter's day, and I told you that Broadway was waiting for me, you were handsome, you were pretty, queen of New York City. When the band finished playing, the drunks called for more. Sinatra was singing and the drunks they were swinging. Well, they kissed in the corner and danced through the night. And the boys from the New York Police Choir was singing Galway Bay, and the bells were ringing out on Christmas Day. Could have been someone, so could anyone. I took your dreams from you when I first met you. I kept them with me, babe. I put them with my own. Can't make it all alone. I've built my dreams around you. You're a bum, you're a punk, you're an old war-on junk, lying there nearly dead on a drip in that bed. You scumbag, you maggot, you cheap, lousy sucker. Merry Christmas, yes, I would rather be dead. And the boys from the Galway Bay, and the bells were ringing out on Christmas Day. I love you, baby. I've got a feeling this year is for me. So happy Christmas. I love you, baby. It's going to be good times when all of our dreams come true.
So, yeah, it was beautiful and cold. Holy cow. It never got above, I think 19 degrees there the whole week of Johnstown, which in South Dakota isn't considered bad, but in an RV that freezes in the lines, like, yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, everything you guys do is mostly headed south this time of year. So,
well, we are headed there. We have our acoustiki tour starting in January. But on this trip, those were our two main things that we did. We also did a private party, which is a Ferrari owner group party. And that's just insane because, like, seeing all these Ferraris pull up and you're just like, oh my God, where am I? How did I get here? Like, this is insane.
in the middle of winter in Johnstown.
That was in Boston. And it was just like, you know, so it's just crazy. Like, what's happening in my life? And then we did a couple of breweries and stuff like that, some little small bars and stuff to end it out. I ended up picking up in Connecticut, the Granby, the gift of Granby. That's what I'm going to call it. I got some sort of bug there, and I ended up having to cancel my last show, two of my shows actually, because I wasn't able to like power through them for 4 hours. That was the problem. Like I got about like an hour and a half in me before my voice was like, "Hey, see ya." So, anyway, I ended up
the
doing
gripa. That's what they call it in Mexico. And yeah.
What do you do to get rid of it in Mexico? You just drink more tequila?
Yeah, that's how they cure everything in Mexico.
Probably got sick by drinking the water, so you have to.
Nobody drinks tap water down there.
Yeah,
you buy it for like 10 pesos a gallon, you know. I lived down there for a year. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah.
Where did you live?
Yeah, it was a little town called Tulancingo. About the size of Rapid City probably, and then we actually lived in a small town outside of there. But yeah, I was down there for a year on the run from some felonies up here. I went full Johnny Depp blow on it. I was like, I ain't going to prison for weed, dog. It ain't happening. I'm going to Mexico. And now I have a medical marijuana card in South Dakota after doing my 2 years. And
isn't it crazy that it's considered a felony? Like, what the I mean, no.
I mean, it's not like I had a little bit, Jazz. You know me. I go big or I go home.
You went big and then you left the country.
And then I went to Mexico. Yeah. I mean, and now I have that experience, right? It's funny. My middle boy is born in Mexico. He's the palest blonde-haired, blue-eyed Mexican you've ever seen. Mexico. El Gringo de Tulancingo. That's what I called myself.
Oh my God.
But that's where I rekindled my love of music, you know, for 2 years before that, after kind of ending a bad relationship. I was just, you know, and being in a couple of bands that just ended poorly. And like you said, I was booking all the gigs, I was doing all the things. And then the last band I was in didn't even have my name on it, right? I was selling somebody else out there, but I believed in the product. And then after that falls apart, I was just like, oh, I don't even want to touch a guitar. I don't want to do anything. I'm so tired of paying other people to not do their part, you know, and that's kind of that's probably something that, you know, obviously you've lived through. I'm sure you've had bandmates that haven't been great, but can you kind of talk about using, you know, more pro level people working out of Nashville as opposed to trying to have bands with hobbyists, you know, which you have a lot more of in South Dakota because you can't just make a living playing music and being an artist, you know? There's different levels to this, right? Am I correct in assuming that?
There are, but with that comes more money. So if you're willing to pay the price, then you're going to get the pros. And that price is pretty steep. So it's not easy for and then also there's really no loyalty. So if somebody offers them a higher price than what you've offered,
they're gone.
They're gone. So
Yeah.
it's not like you have any. The thing about a hobbyist is at least he's in your band and you can count on that. In Nashville, if you're hiring people that are pros,
You better have a full schedule if you expect to keep them, and you better pay pretty well.
And a full wallet. You better have both of those things, because they're gonna skip out the first chance that they get. But if they do make a commitment to you, and most times that includes contracts, because you have to have a contract with your players that they're gonna stick it out through this tour, or else they're gone in the middle at some point. If you can get that and you can secure that, then yeah, you've got the most pro things, really. But here's the other thing. They still only want to know 3 things. When do I need to be there? How much am I getting paid? And when can I leave? There's no additional, like, hey guys, what do you think we should look, what should our, dress code should be for this show? Or do you guys want to do a photo shoot to promote this? Or what do you think about this music video? What kind of concept should we come up with? There's none of that.
Right.
So you can pretty much just, like, I've always said this from the beginning, and I think it still stands true. As long as you don't expect anything from anyone, you'll never be disappointed. Just know that you're going to do this on your own. And it's going to be, if it fails, it's your fault. And if it wins, it's your fault. So, that's it. You get all the wins and you get all the losses.
Yeah. But you got to do all the work. And I think that's great life advice, and nobody...
I'm not afraid of working, obviously. So I have no problem with, doing everything and working really hard. I do get wore out. And I think that the only times that I've reached burnout, in my career was just too much. And I didn't feel like I had any support, and not even through friendships. Cause that's another thing. Like, every once in a while, you just kind of need to vent to somebody. And when you're gone all the time, you don't really have any friends at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I come home and I'm like, God, who do I still know here? Nobody. Cause they've all moved on and, like, moved away or got married and had families. And, I don't have anybody that does what I do that I can hang out with or talk to about it. It's
right. It's a lonely world. Yeah, it's a lonely world out there. And that's where I've been very fortunate. I mentioned the Midwest Country Music Organization, and that's been a great community for us, because it is just that. We get together now. I'm organizing monthly members only meetups, to where we're just on a Zoom, not unlike this, and just kind of talking. What challenges are you facing? What are you, doing? And we would be more than happy to have you as one of our members as well. We would be completely honored.
I'm still country on the inside,
Yeah, well, and it's not just country. Yes, the name says country, but it's really a group of artists. We have a lot of players that aren't songwriters that, will play anything, right? But it's a community to help us out here, because the struggles that we face. Everyone is 5 hours from anything, right?
Yeah.
So unlike Nashville, where you have all of these super talented people involved in music, and they're all in one little, space, right? And granted, I know Nashville is just a huge metro area and all the places, right? But we're able to have that connection online now with our people, and to grow this thing and all support each other through that. It's changed my life. I became a member last February. I really used their awards show to launch this podcast to what it is. I did 25 interviews at Jam Night the night before the awards. And then at the awards show, I had all of my promotional materials. I had my QR on every single program in the building, and nobody did that for me. I walked in before the show started and said, here you go. Here you go. Here you go.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to be willing to do that. And we didn't get 300 people joining the podcast from that. We got maybe 25, but that was 25 more than we had yesterday. And
yeah,
just keep going. It takes time to grow a community and to build something that has longevity. And I think, like you said, people are moving to Nashville thinking they're going to hit that break and it's going to happen for them. It's like, no, you could spend your entire life working and grinding out there and never get that break.
I talked to so many people that did it, like, look at, like, Paige and Dace Price, they were amazing. They're amazing singers and amazing before. I always loved them so much. And they came to Nashville to give it a go, when I was still a kid, just playing, like, the local circuit. And they came back and they were like, it's crazy. Like, they were like, we're done with it. They just walked away from it. And I'm like, so what did you do? And they're like, they played a lot of stuff on Broadway and they did all that. And I was like, okay. And I'm making mental notes, because I'm like, don't do that, because that obviously didn't pay off, right? So it's like, you're trying to, like, learn what worked and what didn't in Nashville. And now, granted, like I have plenty of people like Matt Berry came down here and hit the Broadway scene, did very well. You know, look at Rory. Oh my gosh, Hoffman. I couldn't think of his name for a second. I was like, how did I blank that? One of the most monster players of all time from Lemon, South Dakota. He's a staple on Broadway. Like he's the guy. He's blind, and he plays literally every instrument, and he is killer.
Yeah.
What about like Shane and Anita Hill? You know, like that came down from South Dakota. They had their family band project down there. Can't remember the name of their family band. Their mom was in it. And then it was like, I don't remember, it was like Dakota Country or something like that. But I mean, she's still playing. Anita's still playing drums downtown all the time. And I think her brother Shane was like on tour with like Shelly Wright or something off and on. So, I mean, there's a ton of people from South Dakota down here representing, you know, and I don't think anybody even realizes that. Maybe I don't think they do.
And that's why it was so important for me to get you on the podcast and to share your story. And I mean, you've been down there. You never left Nashville. When you got there, you committed to, I'm going to figure this out, whatever it takes. I'm going to keep working my tail off. And, you know, you own a home down there. You've been able to build all of these things off of music. I think it's so important, especially for our younger artists, to see that, like, you can attain these things, but you're going to have to work your ass off to get it. It's not just going to happen for you.
It's not going to come to you easily. So just prepare for the fight of your life when you do make it down here, but know that it can happen. And it's all about just continuing to grind. Like I talked about earlier, like the only times in my life where I ever felt like I was hitting burnout was when I didn't have anybody to share it with. So that's the one thing that I really encourage anybody if you're in this business and you're trying to do it all on your own and you're willing to put in the work, just know that like you're going to reach times where like you're just exhausted and you need to share that with someone or kind of lean on someone for a second while you kind of get your feet back underneath you. And it's really important to keep cultivating those kind of relationships because they come in really handy when you're just ready to like throw it all away and walk away from it. You know, you really got to have that.
Well, what's coming in 2025, Jazz? We're running out of time here today, and I don't want to keep you forever. I'm sure you got work to do. So
it's my husband's birthday today.
Oh, so you're not doing anything?
No, well, he told me I'm not allowed to today. That's it. That's his thing. His burnout is caused by me because I've never stopped moving. So he's like,
he just wants to play video games and hang out for a day.
He's like, would you just sit the fuck down and not do anything? That'd be great. So I've been instructed to sit down and shut up on his birthday to make it peaceful and calm.
So fun. You're going to have the video coming after the new year. I'm assuming it takes a little time to edit everything down and do all that.
Before the new year, but I won't release it right away. That's why we have our Patreon family. Anybody that's like on our Patreon page, they're going to get access to it. They're going to be able to see it. But like the rest of the people will not be able to see this until it's released. I'm working with a couple of different companies to plan a release for this. One of them is actually a rock magazine in the UK, because I'm really trying to like get my foothold over in the UK and in Europe, because I think we would do really well there. And we just haven't met the right promoters yet. I did finally meet up with a PR girl that I think is going to do a solid job. And we're probably going to go over and do like a radio, campaign at first, just to kind of get our music on the air and get it familiar and in earworms, get them out there so people can hear. And then once we get that established, then we'll probably come back and try to set up a short tour. If we can find somebody that we could just jump on a ticket with and a buy on, which is another misconception, friends. If you think your big friend band is going to just take you on the road because they love you so much, no. That's not going to happen. You have to buy.
You're paying for the fuel in their bus, and that's how you get on the tour.
And your bus.
And your bus. Yeah. In addition.
Yeah. So, if again, you got to have big pockets to go do that kind of thing. But if we could find like a smaller tour or something to jump in, for me, like my foothold is motorcycle events. So Europe, of course, has European Bike Week. Ireland has Ireland Bike Fest. there's I did the Harley owner group in Dubai one year. So there's some things that I can get some toeholds in for like some anchor dates and then just kind of set it up from there. I also know a lot of bands over there that I could probably jump on a bill with if I was going to be there. And then my bass company, which is Warwick Basses, is another way you can get into those markets. Work with companies that are from those markets. So my bass company is Warwick. They're from Markenkirchen, Germany. So, I can get some assistance there with them giving me like a thumbs up or a reference or whatever, just to help people know that it's a legit artist and that I can do some stuff over there. And I can also work with some Warwick artists that are doing short tours over there too, because the company usually does assist them in their tour. So
more international shows is the first thing on the docket in 2025. And obviously you have the motorcycle events circled. Do you do Laconia?
Of course.
Yeah. So you do all the big ones. I know you're in Daytona. Yeah. I know you're out here in Sturgis and you're doing all the big things. And that's it. I think most people would be like, you live in Nashville, but you're a rock, a hard rock artist,
well, like I said, I couldn't get any foothold here in Nashville in country because everyone in Nashville is country. Well, then it was, that was 20 years ago, but like everybody here was like country. And I mean like old school, like good old boy country. So which is my favorite. That's what I love. But the truth was I wasn't going to get anywhere because Nashville wasn't ready for me. And a funny story. I went to Jim Zumwalt's office. He's one of the largest entertainment attorneys here in Nashville. I went to his office and I was waiting to meet with him for our appointment. And this guy walks in and he's in his new hat that he just got. And it's all like burned in the right places. And he's got his John Deere t-shirt on and his bedazzled like affliction pants and his corral boots. And he's all like just money right everywhere. He's just a guy that has a lot of money and maybe not so much country experience. And he comes in and he's just like, he's from some big city. I can't remember what, but he's telling me about his career and how he's going to be like the next big country thing. Jim's going to represent him and all that stuff. And I'm like, cool. And he's like, so you a country artist too? I said, no, I'm in rock. And he goes, really? In Nashville? Why? And I said, well, Nashville right now is kind of like a green broke colt for me. Sometimes you got to strap milk jugs around the saddle horn and sack them out for a while before you jump on. And he's like, the fuck does that mean? I was like, exactly. You don't know because you're not country. But if you've ever done anything country, you would know what the fuck that meant. It's just like, I don't know. I consider myself like a smart ass rock and roller, maybe more outlaw country, So, and that's what's interesting is that I really do meld well with all the outlaw country guys that are doing it kind of underground, like the Piedmont boys and Tim Montana before he decided he was a rocker too. But, like all these, they're all on the verge. We're all rock, know?
Well, and so I started calling my style modern gypsy rock and I'm covering a lot more country. And I realized that I like country music because I like to tell stories. All of my songs are stories of my life,
Three chords of the story.
Right. And I might throw a fourth in there, but I don't really get too, I don't try to get too clever. Right. Yeah. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're just trying to tell stories.
Yes, and use melodies that people can sing along to and hooks that they can remember. That's it. Like, it's very simple. And I think, honestly, the fact that I didn't, because all these people here in Nashville, they're all trained, they're all Belmont, or they come from Berkeley or whatever. They all went to major art or music schools to come down here and do it. They can read music, they can read charts, they can do all this on the fly, Nashville number system, they know it all. And I don't know any of that, but I'm writing the song. And when I write the song, it's in a simple mind form, so it instantly becomes familiar or something of interest to the masses. And that's something that someone, that was in Belmont can't understand because they're trying so hard to make it so complicated and interesting to play as a player that they forgot how to make it familiar or listenable or sing along, worthy for an audience.
Yeah. So music doesn't touch us up here. It touches us in our heart. Right. That's where it really means the most.
It's the words and the way that you sing them and the melody. That's the most important. So if you can get that down, you got it,
Well, and it was a real treat this year. I got to catch your last set of, I don't know if it was for the whole week, but it was your last set at the Knuckle outdoor on the pavilion, and you committed to, I'm just playing the originals for y'all. And I was so damn proud of you for just committing into it, because that scene, you know, people are paying you because they want to hear the stuff they know, right? And I don't think the band has ever sounded better. It was so cool to just watch you just let it rip and go, this is me. This is who I've always been. I grew up right down the road. I've always been the same girl, and I'm just going to let it hang out here on one of the biggest stages in downtown Sturgis. And that gave me so much pride because I watched you, you know, we've worked on shows together and playing, having you and the band play out at, you know, Little Rex Springs years and years ago on a makeshift stage, and having Robbie Rosh and
another band.
Man, it was great. Honestly,
he lives out here now. You know that?
Really? I did not know that. I saw that his sister's got a new band and they've been playing around in Rapid City again. And it's really good to see a lot of people that, I mean, because they had families, right? Margie had a family and raised that. And now that the kids are a little bit older, she's getting back out. Her band Stereo Trip, I think, was just like a little, you know, it was a side project to do something. And they quickly became voted the best band in Rapid City.
She can sing. She's got a God-given talent that you just can't. And it's funny, the first time I met Margie, you know what we were doing?
I want to know.
We were modeling for the first ever billboard for Full Throttle.
How fun.
It's still out there. That's when I met Margie.
That's so fun. Well, Jazz, I really appreciate you.
Like, legit musicians, and here we are.
Yeah.
In like little tiny outfits.
Selling your bodies.
Because no one cares.
Nope. And that's what we're trying to change. You know, I'm really, like I said, this podcast, the impetus has been because we need more people telling these stories. We just need this. What makes the podcast good is that I've lived the same experiences as a lot of our songwriters have, or at least I can relate to their experiences. So it makes
I have never lived your experiences. I don't know if I want to.
No, and that's also the good part, is that I can share mine with the world so that other people don't have to live some of those as well, right? And
do as I say, not as I've done.
Exactly. Well, Jazz, why don't you plug the Patreon and your website and all of that before I let you go, and we'll get you out of here.
Yeah, so our Patreon page is just patreon.com/Jasmine Cain. Very easy to find, and I'm sure, you know, it's the spelling of the name, you'll have that up there. So it's just that. We also have a Twitch channel, which is pretty cool because we do live streams, and we do them from the stream room downstairs. And sometimes it's full band, and sometimes it's just me, acoustic, and sometimes, as is right now, is Kevin on Call of Duty. If you want to listen to that, but you don't have to. And that, of course, our twitch.tv, because it's essentially a TV channel, /Jasmine Cain, same spelling. You guys can check those out. If you're Amazon Prime member, you can subscribe to our channel for no cost. Amazon Prime pays your fee per month. You get one subscription a month through Amazon Prime, and it costs you nothing additional, but they do pay us. So it's a way that you can help our band and our project without taking any money out of your pockets. And, you know, I don't know. We've got our Facebook page, which is Jasmine Cain Rocks. I'm on X, which is Jasmine Cain Rock. I am on Instagram, which is just under Jasmine Cain. And of course, our YouTube channel, which is Miss Jasmine Cain. That's where you find me. That's all the things. That's all I got. Or you just go to my link tree.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, tell Kevin happy birthday for us.
I wish I had a QR code I could hold up in your screen right now, but I don't.
Don't worry, I'll add it in post.
Thank you.
And let Kevin know that even though the election's over, I'm still voting for him for president.
We decided that he should run again in 4 years. And he has to have a new platform, though. This one, and some people did write him in hilariously. His platform this year was him drunk on the RV on margaritas saying, I think I should run for president. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, I said, didn't you do like a bunch of drugs in the 90s and like live with a bunch of strippers and stuff? And he goes, hey man, I'm not as bad as the other guy. And I was like, okay, that's your platform.
Hey, wait a minute. That's what Hunter Biden was doing the whole time too.
Probably still doing it.
Probably with Kevin. They could have overlapped somewhere. Who knows?
Oh, Kevin quit. You know, that's the thing. At least Kevin reformed.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I just love you
There
guys.
is-
I
they
love
do
you guys
recover.
so much for jumping on with me and just for being you and giving us us younger generations and the ones coming up behind us, because that's what a lot of these kids are at 18, 20 years old. They want to get to Nashville, and now we can give them a little bit of a roadmap, the do's and don'ts, and I bet Jasmine Cain could write a book on it.
I am reading a book. That's funny. you say
Can't wait to read it. When's
That's
that
what I really
coming?
do. Well, I've already written like 20 chapters. I kind of want to finish like 50 before I'm done with it. So they're basically short stories, and it's just the early parts of the road and some crazy stuff that's happened, which has been a lot.
I think you get to 25 and release volume 1, and then you can
Oh.
just keep going. Yeah, you got to get this out there. Don't put
Okay.
limits on yourself.
Well, I'm also getting ready to do a documentary, like a 20-minute documentary. This is my 20th year of doing original music. So I'm going to do a 20-minute documentary of like throughout, and it'll be in video format and probably released on YouTube as well. So you'll have some stuff to check out.
Yeah, well, we can't wait. I'll do full write-ups on thesceneprojects.com for all of it, and I will continue to be a huge Jasmine fucking Cain fan.
Yeah, boy, let's go.
And we'll see you on the road, Jazz. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you so much, man. Talk to you soon.
I want to thank the lovely Jasmine Cain for joining our program and for being our friend. It's been a long road. It's been a long year. We love you all, and Merry fucking Christmas. Thanks for listening. Remember to follow The Scene Projects on all your social media channels and get even more content at thesceneprojects.com.
No other pour that love on me like water.